Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an article. It's from Gizmodo. Now this was published on, it looks like March 18th. It's written by Molly Taff, who looks like she's a six-cat having, no prospects on finding a man, wondering why no man will put up with her feminazi ways unless they're a soy boy cuck and she wants an alpha reject. The U.S. leads the way in citywide fossil fuel bans. Like Gizmodo and her are trying to make that sound like that's a good thing. That the city is banning things. That the city is dictating what you can and can't use. They're making this sound like it's a good thing. I'm sorry, but it's not a good thing when you have cities, the locality where I live, telling me what I can and can't do in my own damn home. Because if they're going to tell you you can't, say, heat your home with natural gas, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, what's to stop them from saying, you can't drink in your own home, or have sex in your own home, or decide how to raise your children in your own home? Nothing. Because if they think that they can get away with this, they're going to go and push things further and further and further until they're infringing on you on a level that it's too late for you to actually do anything. Because they've already got the boot on your neck. Let's see what Molly had to say here. In a cool and rare moment for the U.S., it's a leader in something that may actually do some good for the planet. A new report shows that the U.S. currently has the most cities in the world that have enacted some sort of ban on fossil fuels at the local level. And that's complete horse shit. It's not the city's decision to do that. Okay, maybe a state might be able to do might be able to pass legislation to stop the use of certain things, obviously within the confines of the state and U.S. constitutions, but that's about it. Cities here, they just dictate shit willy-nilly. This is like the idea of Beetlejuice in Chicago. Deciding what the hell is, everyone in the city's going to do. These are people that work for their constituency. They are there to decide what the constituency does. But yet, we've forgotten this as a society. The report issued Thursday by the Green Energy Policy Network, REN 21, focuses on the changing energy landscape at a city level. Per the analysis, more than 1 billion people worldwide now live in a city or town with a renewable energy target. Which, she's trying to make this sound. So they're banning fossil fuels, and they're making these arbitrary fucking targets. And this is a good thing? There's no science, there's no facts backing up these arbitrary targets. Yet, this is supposedly a good thing. Telling people what they can and can't do, and setting la-la land, fantasy land targets. Wow, the left is fucking numb these days. They think shit like this is good, and they don't realize it doesn't meet up with, actual reality. But it also shows how cities are working to ban fossil fuels at the local level, with various types of bans jumping fivefold in 2020, including bans on fossil fuel use in buildings. Now, who are they to decide what I can and can't use in my own damn building? It is more energy efficient burning fossil fuels than to have, say, straight electric heat. Having a oil-fired or gas-fired furnace is way more efficient. See, they want us all to have heat pumps. All right, and the thing is, a standard heat pump in New England, I had to go out and spend $10,000 on a fucking heat pump. Because of where I live, the condo complex I live in, that's how they heat the places. I had to spend $10,000 to get an efficient heat pump. All right, so that if it goes and drops below zero, I'm not going to be completely freezing my friggin' ass off. 10 fucking grand installed. And they want every American to be switched over like that. Now, you can go and buy a cheap heat pump, but then, cheaper heat pump if you're in the cold climate, but then you're going to have to do auxiliary heat. Now, that means either you go a fossil fuel route, all right, which would mean that you have a gas furnace or an oil furnace as a backup. Or you have what are called heat strips set up in your air handler, okay? And what they are is basically resistive wire that heats up like the idea of your friggin' toaster. That's what they want. And if you want to get away where you can actually have efficient heat pumps, you're looking at, say, like 40 grand to get a geothermal heat pump, because they have to drill down, they have to run their lines, and that's so that they can pull the heat out of the ground. But they want everyone to go over to heat pumps. Let me tell you, as someone who's lived at a place for pretty much half my life at this point, I'd say over half my life, off and on. Heat pumps, they think of this God savior thing. I mean, Technology Connections was blowing smoke up people's asses about him out here, out on YouTube. He's a channel that, like, he's like pushes this shit about green technology. He's got green, green ideology, like dictating his shit. He was trying to push the bullshit about heat pumps, and I'm trying, and me and him have got into it before, and he's censored my comments because I've called out his bullshit. And this is one of those types of situations where I'm calling out bullshit, and I'm calling him out here. He can't censor me here. He can't remove my comment. Heat pumps are bullshit, but that's what they want everyone to use. And they go, well, you get 5 times more the energy efficiency. That's in ideal friggin' conditions with the weather outside, so we can pull heat from the outside. You get over 90% efficiency if you have a gas-fired furnace at your home. And not only does it heat your home, okay, and like say with forced hot water, it heats your hot water too. You got 2 things for one with an oil-fired or gas-fired furnace that does forced hot water. They want you to have an electric water heater, a heat pump, and to me, you're consuming way more electricity, but they go, oh, we're going to offset it with green. But you're also raising the cost. So now you're, with the fact of pushing the green thing, you're raising the cost of electricity, which makes it more expensive to heat the home. This is like, see, they don't want people to remember when Jimmy Carter was president. The cost of electricity was so high. All right, electric heat was pretty common. 60s into the 70s. Jimmy Carter becomes president. Electricity spikes. And people converted their homes from electric to like forced hot water with oil or gas or, forced hot air with gas. Because he caused the price of electricity to skyrocket, like he caused the price of gas to skyrocket. But it was still cheaper for crude oil, for fuel oil than it was to heat your home with electric. This is their short-sighted, infantile, ideologically driven bullshit becoming a reality. That's what you're going to be seeing. California, it seems, is leading the world here. The report counts at least 35 Californian cities with such a ban at the end of 2020. And you're bragging about that? Wow. You people are fucking retarded. You ideologues are retarded. You make it sound like it's a good thing that they're forcing people to make choices they wouldn't make. Whatever happened to the freedom of choice situation of living in America, of living in the United States? And while the trend may have started in the U.S., it's catching on across the pond. Amsterdam, Krakow, and London all have some sort of ban on fossil fuels in buildings planned or in the process of being enacted. You want to make that sound like it's a good thing? When you have a free country, and less free countries go, hey, that's a good idea, you're no longer a free fucking country when it comes to shit like this. You people are ridiculous. According to the report, there are 2 key ways for cities to try and clean up their act. One is working with the transportation sector. So basically looking at ways to ban cars in cities. Yeah. Because we're going to have fossil fuel bans in them. You can't have a vehicle that runs on fossil fuels. At the end of 2020, 249 cities had created or proposed low-emission zones for vehicles. See, exactly what I was saying. While 14 had banned or restricted vehicles or the use of fossil fuels altogether in the transport sector, or proposed such a ban. Of these techniques, low-emission zones limiting fossil fuel using cars in certain areas are the most popular, and an overwhelming number of those are in Europe. No, they're not popular. Holy friggin' shit, they are not popular. The people, like the London bullshit, like ban, like, pay money type bullshit that they have. Okay? People fucking hate that. The only ones that like it there, like in London, are the virtue signaling, don't own a car, fucking retards like you, Molly. You know, the feminazis like you that have 6 cats and can't find a man. They like it. The soy boys who are feminist allies because those feminazis like it, they like it too. But average people, they do not. See, I bet you she lives in a city where she doesn't have a car or anything here. And she expects the rest of the friggin' country to live like her. These people are so out of touch with reality. You know, it's not even funny. You know, people in media, the people on the left, they're all out of touch with reality itself. I mean, oh yeah, it's real popular, limiting the ability for someone to be able to travel freely. Yeah, real friggin' popular. Well, they don't have to have their car. Well, they need their car for their job. Now, what if someone works in one of those low emissions areas? And the only way they have to get to their job is their vehicle. But now their vehicle can't go into that area. You just screwed them. And you think, you're virtue signaling going, well, isn't this great? No, you just caused this person to lose their fucking job. You don't think that's going to happen? Of course it is. Well, moves to clean up the transportation sector have increased in recent years. The report found some cities have had these types of restrictions in place for a while. In 1996, for example, cities in Sweden created so-called environmental zones that were the predecessors to today's low-emission zones. The second key way... I love how they're saying that, but they don't give you any details about these environmental zones that Sweden created, because I bet you they're not what she's claiming. I bet you if you look into them, it's a little bit different. I missed this and should have actually looked it up myself. I apologize. The second key way for cities to ban fossil fuels is much newer and focuses on the building sector, where a growing number of cities are restricting fossil fuel use in new construction. According to the report, there are currently 53 cities across 10 countries that have either issued a plan or issued bans restricting the use of fossil fuels in buildings. This is a much newer development in the fight against fossil fuels. Berkeley, in California, was the first city in the world to implement a ban on new gas hookups in 2019. That's complete bullshit. The market should fucking dictate. All right. I don't understand why these gas companies aren't suing, because it's not an illegal fucking product. They do not have the right to ban a perfectly legal product like this. Especially one that is necessary to heat your home, one that is necessary, especially like in a lot of places to cook your food. This is complete bullshit. Again, they want to force people to use like heat pumps and shit, which, okay, California, different story, different climate. Maybe that's a feasible thing. But in fucking New England, coming from someone who's had one for 20 years, who just had to pay 10 grand, okay, just at the turn of the new year, at the end of 2020, who had to spend 10 grand to replace theirs. They fucking suck. And I have a top-end, high, efficiency, hyperheat Mitsubishi. One of the best heat pumps you can buy, money can buy. And I got a deal on it at 10 grand. Or I was getting quotes 15 to 20 fucking grand to get the same exact heat pump from other installers. And I choked at 10 grand. I went, Doug. I mean, I could have got off cheap with a $5,000 heat pump, but then I'd be running the auxiliary heat in the winter. I mean, seriously, this is what they want. They don't think things through. Banning new fossil fuel hookups. Some cities are finding can be a tricky business, even with local support. Just ask Brookline, a suburb outside of Boston. I remember this. Brookline, they were like, the Bostonians were like, hey, what the fuck? You want to ban gas in my fucking city? Fuck you. I remember that. Organizers in the city helped to overwhelmingly pass a ban on oil and gas infrastructure in new construction in late 2019. Oh, bullshit. Overwhelmingly? Let's put it this way. It was kind of like the idea of Georgia, if you catch my drift. Okay? But helped to overwhelmingly pass a ban on oil and gas infrastructure and new construction in late 2019. By last summer, the Massachusetts Attorney General ruled against the ban, saying that it violated state building codes. Yes, exactly. Not only that, do you want to know why they said that? It's because people in Brookline, like I just said, went, all right, you ain't fucking stopping me from getting my gas, bitch. You know, they weren't using their eyes. They're like, you fucking asshole. Well, that was really, wow. That was a bad Boston accent. That was like Matt Damon, Ben Affleck levels of bad Boston accent. But yeah, they went to the state attorney general. She leaves this out. They said, this is bullshit. What can you do to stop this? And the state attorney general went, it violates building codes. But see, she wants to leave that out because she wants the narrative. It was very popular and overwhelmingly passed. Then why did the people go to the state attorney general and bitch, you dumb bitch? Explain that one. Oh, that's right. You didn't want to, which is why you push this narrative that doesn't reflect the reality of the situation. Right now, the problem municipalities have in Massachusetts and many other states, especially Northeast states, is they're preempted by the state legacy laws, said Lisa Cunningham, an architect and organizer in Brookline. No, there are building standards that are standardized throughout the state, and you don't like the fact that because the state has more control than you do in these cities and makes it so that the state has it where it's equal across the board. You don't like that happening because then you can't push your bullshit agendas. Okay, your virtue signaling agendas where you expect people to go and spend. I mean, hell, if I had a forced hot water furnace, for example, I would have spent like maybe $3,000 for a high-end, high-efficiency unit. Maybe 5. I wouldn't have spent 10 fucking grand like I did for a heat pump. See, these people don't think about that. They don't think about the practicality of cost. And they don't like the fact that the state is saying, no, you can't pull this shit. I mean, this is ridiculous. While the state attorney general, Maura Healey, ruled that the city can't mandate no new fossil fuels in new construction, while State Attorney General Maura Healey ruled that the city can't mandate new fossil fuels in new construction, Cunningham said, Brookline is putting together a workaround that would use zoning incentives to encourage new construction to emit fossil fuel hookups. So this is what they're going to do. Okay, this is complete bullshit. It's not that they're using incentives to encourage it. They're going to use zoning to stop it. So basically, because they were told no, like petulant, ill-behaved, retarded children, they're still going to try to get what they want by manipulating the zoning. And she's trying to portray that as that's not what's happening here. Molly, you are sleazy, woman. Well, it's not as stringent as an all-out ban. It's another technique that cities could use. Well, they're basically going to try to do what amounts to an all-out ban. All right. As someone from New England who keeps up on the things that happen to go down in Boston, I mean, Boston covers like New Hampshire with the news and all that, and, parts of Maine and Rhode Island and all that. We tend to find out what's going on in Mass. And someone who's kind of kept up on this, they're trying to use actual zoning to stop it. That's an end runaround. That's what they're doing. Be honest. Regardless of what the states say, Cunningham said, regardless of what the states say, Cunningham said that a good education program and campaign, especially one built around a solid piece of legislation, can go a long way in making local change. But there's a slight problem. You can't have a solid piece of legislation like in Massachusetts because the building codes prevent you from doing this. Which is why in Brookline, they're going and they're trying to use zoning to force it. And this idea of, good education program and campaign, indoctrination and propagandizing, that's what they're talking about. Because if I said, okay, you can spend $5,000 and have 90% efficiency with a forced gas forced hot water heating system, or spend $15,000 for a heat pump like I got to have even something remotely comparable. And I'm not even talking efficiency wise, say remotely comparable, but just remotely comparable, like say with heating capacity, stuff like that. Are you going to spend the $5,000 or are you going to spend the $15,000? You're going to spend the $5,000, but they don't want people to do that. So you got to propagandize them. Okay. You got to force them to make a choice that they don't want. That's what this is all about. Holy sh! This is such bullshit that they think that they think this is a good thing, forcing people to have to, you know, make choices that they don't want to make in the name of their virtue signaling. These people, the sheer fucking hubris of them, it's ridiculous. Once people are educated about building electrification, there's a very high level of understanding about it, Cunningham said. Using local legislation as a way to run a public campaign and inform your officials and the public at large is extremely effective. So basically, the far left spurgs, okay, who scream the loudest, should get what they want. That's the gist of that. And educated about building electrification. Building electrification in the long run is way more expensive, especially when you have to retrofit a property. All right, because if you have everything there for forced hot water, and now you're saying you got to get a heat pump, okay, now you're running ductwork, now you're doing all this, you're expelling all this carbon into the air, but it's green. That's what they don't look at. And that's what they want with building electrification. There are no signs that local movements to push for fossil fuel bans will slow down anytime soon. The REN 21 report covers developments through 2020 and yet is already obsolete. Just this January, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio announced the city will make moves to ban new gas hookups by 2030, the latest. Which makes no fucking sense. This is what's retarded. Okay, New York City, they stopped doing gas hookups. That means there's an even higher demand for electricity. All right. And if you have skyscrapers, and you have like every unit having a heat pump, and everything's running on electric, the draw on the grid is going to be far more substantial than it is now. And New York City's electrical grid can't handle a hot fucking day in the summer without friggin' going on the fritz and taking out half the fucking eastern seaboard. I've been there when that happened. I lost power in New Hampshire for days because New York City are a bunch of fucking retards when the heat gets on, when the hot weather comes in. I remember that. It may have been 10 or 15 years ago, but I remember that. We lost our fucking power for like 2 days because the whole eastern seaboard got fucked because you have retards living in New York, okay, with a shitty fucking grid and a Democrat-run fucking, city that don't realize that the whole eastern seaboard's interconnected. You think banning gas is going to be a good thing? The demand for electricity in New York is going to fuck all of us on the whole eastern seaboard. But hey, New York's going to ban gas. Everyone's going to heat in the winter. Winter storm, we're all going to lose our power for 3 fucking days. Anyway, yeah, I've covered this well enough. I'm leaving things here.
If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.